Welcome back. You're listening to the Impaired Files with the nerdy Chicano, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, and this is episode 4, and I want to give you all a big thank you for the awesome success of the last 3 episodes with guests as Silanushi, Nikki Silanushi, however you want to call her, Daniela Nunez, one of our team members, and Ayden Byrnes, my filmmaker friend extraordinaire, awesome guy. But today we have a new guest. As always, the Impaired Files is a monthly show where I interview people in my life and I learn more about their lives and the art that they create. Today, we have a first international guest because she is from the lands known as Canada. Say hello to Hayley Toews, everybody.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, we got you on a show.
I'm the first international guest. Look at me.
Yes. First international from Canada. And she is not only is she a filmmaker, my friends, but she is also a podcaster. And you can go listen to her podcast, No Never Mind, on podcast platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Anchor.fm. So awesome that we are here having you today, Hayley. I'm so excited. You are a longtime friend of ours, Brad and I, back to the good old Till Fam days. And today we're going to get to learn more about you. People might call this podcast therapy. I don't know if it is therapy, but all I know is that we like to have fun on here.
Therapy. I'm excited for it. I need it. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah. Well, I'm the first one who can give you the help. But, you're from, where did you say you're from again?
Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Winnipeg, Manitoba. Going to UW. Well, I don't want to talk about. Okay, no, don't actually say what university you're going to. But yeah, you're a film student, just like me.
On my podcast, so that's totally okay.
Oh, okay. You're UW. You're a film student, and you are how old?
I'm 22. I'm turning 23 this year.
What the fuck? I thought I was older than you for some reason. Yeah.
How old are you?
Yeah, I thought I was older than you for some reason. Okay, well, it looks like we're the same age. So, that being said, yeah, Hayley is from Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba. She's doing a lot of cool stuff. You can go watch her short film Desvelado on her YouTube channel where she uploads her films. If I'm correct by that, right?
Basically, I am handing in my first film for our school film fest. So it's unlisted right now, but I'm going to go put it back on my Instagram bio. I'm going to link it in there because you can only access it from that one link. But I also have it on my Twitter as well. So
all right,
yeah,
cool.
It's available. It's just, exclusive.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna be talking about. We're gonna let you plug that all day at the end. I want to give fuck, man. Here, look at that. This usually should be a little bit more of a like straightforward podcast than not having me tongue-tied all over here, but I got another show to do after this. But it's fine. That's what you guys sign up for when you do this stuff. And I want to give a shout out to the Patreon supporters, $1 and up, and all our other Patreon supporters of other tiers. You guys are awesome, and you get this episode a week early from the Patreon feed. So thank you so much for your patronage and your generosity, and because of that, you get this episode a week early before anybody else on the feed does. And a huge shout out to our Patreon producer and executive producer of this podcast, Grayson Barker. You can follow him on Instagram at GraysonBarker98 and on Twitter at WarlordHitman98. He is from Canada as well, but he is a Patreon producer before all of that. And you can become one too by going to patreon.com/thenerdcore, CORPS, and pledge it to the $15 tier. So for $15 a month, you get Patreon producer status, you get pins and stickers as they're made, and you get a postcard from us here at the team. So the housekeeping is over. So now we can get into the good nitty gritty stuff. So, I do the little icebreakers, and depending on who I have, I ask them questions about their respective field. So, Hayley, I believe you said this before in an episode of yours, but what is your favorite film of all time?
This is the only thing that I did any thinking about. I listened to your other interview episode that you sent me with Daniela, but this is the only thing I had to really think about. My mom and ask her, I said, what are my favorite movies? I hate this question. I'm not offended, but I hate answering it because I narrowed it down to like 6 films.
Yeah, okay, give
So
us a six.
I had to pick, it would be probably between Donnie Darko and The Shining.
Ooh, ooh,
Yeah,
those are good ones.
I'm big into stuff that's like more mind bending. I watch a lot of thrillers, a lot of horror stuff.
Yeah.
So if I really had to narrow it down, I think that's kind of where I would sit. It's
Mm-hmm.
a hard question for a film student.
Yeah. Oh, I love The Shining. One of my favorites as well. Not in my top 10, but, I'm a big fan of Kubrick and his work. Talking about horror, I just watched Pet Cemetery yesterday.
How was it?
Yeah, I got some thoughts about that. Did not like it. I like the original a lot better. And, but, it was scary. I'm pretty sure the people, like, rolls down were hearing me go, ah, ah! Yeah. So, it was pretty, jumpy for me.
Yeah, it takes a lot for me to get scared for horror movies because
Yeah.
I do watch them so often, but I am curious about that one. I'd like to at least give it a shot. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about the remake of It. I haven't seen the original. Oh, no, wait. Sorry, I'm lying. No, yes, I have.
Yeah, you have
Um,
watched the
it was
90s
pretty
miniseries.
scary. Like, barring any other opinions, the clown is terrifying. So
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
set out to do, I assume.
Yeah. I don't know if I've told you my favorite film of all time, but it's beautiful. 2010, directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu. And, horror is a pretty big genre that I'm starting to get into as of late. It started with Hereditary. That just really did it for me, and I thought it was really, really good. I love the remake of it. One of my favorites as well. I mean, there's just that one scene where, what's her name? She plays Nancy Drew now. The chick.
I
What's
over
her,
my head.
what's the name of the? Well, the little girl. She's in the restroom, and like the blood is just starting to splatter, and then the whole place just turns into blood, and it's like, oh my god, like scares the shit out of me. Especially with also the projector scene. The projector scene's scary as hell. But
Like place my finger on that. It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah, no, it was really well made. I thought. I don't know. A couple of my film friends have opinions about this because there's a horror class at my university that I
mm,
unfortunately wasn't able to take. My course load was just far too heavy this year.
yeah.
But they had the option, I think, to do a paper on Hereditary, so they screened it in class,
Oh my
and all
god.
just hate it. They think it's just like the worst movie,
Oh, I
and
think
I
it's
don't,
one of the greatest right
don't
now.
understand. Like, listen, I remember like when I was watching it at home, I put my phone down, which is usually like when I'm getting really into it because I'm obviously just multitasking, doing stuff on my phone usually when I watch stuff. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I thought it was really well done.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite modern horror films. I think it's such a fucky film, and it's really one that plays with the brain, and it's so psychologically disturbing, man. I can't believe people actually think that it's a bad movie. But then again, I mean that's the industry we want to work in. It's all subjective, so whether you like it or not, it's fine. Just don't bash people for liking the movie or not liking it. But
Scene, like I was not expecting that to come, like usually horror movies are so predictable. And when
yeah.
that happened, I was like, what the fuck did I just see? You know?
Mhm. Mhm. And
I
then
thought
remember when I told you like, "Hey, this is Ari Aster's directorial debut," and you were like, "What? This is his debut?"
that oh man, I wish I had the type of skill. We'll get there someday, I'm sure, but
Oh, of course, of course,
yeah,
of
great.
course.
I don't know why people don't like it, but
But look, I want to talk about first of all, Canada. I don't live in Canada. What's it like living over there? I heard it's cold as shit over there.
like I've lived here my entire life, so I'm pretty much just used to it by now. But I will say our winter was pretty delayed this year, so it kind of got really bad right towards the end. Like
Mhm.
we've had like a couple, not snowstorms, but it snowed like quite a lot. We're all pretty tired of it because it's, mid-April over here, kind of
Yeah.
ready to be done. But I would say it's pretty bearable. If you just kind of dress for the weather, like you got to get yourself like some nice boots, nice hat, and a jacket, and
Mhm.
you're kind of good to go. But I will say we had a couple days. I don't know how long ago it was
Yeah.
with wind chill. It was minus 55 degrees Celsius.
Holy sh.
So I don't know if you use Fahrenheit or Celsius down there, but yeah, it was really fucking cold.
Fahrenheit, but I can do the conversion of Celsius, and that's fucking cold. Hell no. Hell no.
That's not great. But I love the city. I've lived here now for just about
Mhm.
oh I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, something like that, on and
Yeah,
off. But yeah, I love it here.
you love
I
it
would
here.
like to move eventually to the West Coast or something, but
Oh, yeah.
in life, I'm doing what I can up here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you really got to do whatever you can. You live there really most of your whole life, right? You never moved out of there?
Now I've gone out a couple of times. Like I went to California once, went to New York once.
Mm.
I've been in most provinces, I think, up in Canada. So warm weather is nice, but I don't know. This is always just gonna kind of be home for me, I think. But yeah, we
Yeah,
got the free healthcare, and
yeah.
Trump isn't our president, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, good to know. You might want to save me a space over there when he finally decides to send my ass back. Okay.
that's yeah, it sounds good.
Sounds good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask you that. What was I gonna say? That you're talking about. This is home, and I mean that's a really, really big thing when going to I mean film school and deciding to expand your educated mind. I guess I don't know. It's home, and you have your friendships there. Suddenly, those friendships that start going to film school with you become the team that you revolve yourself around. So, how's film school been for you?
Really great. So, I don't know if we've talked about this extensively, but I'm in my second year now, which obviously at 22 kind of shocks people that I did
Yeah.
decide to do school so late. But I do
That's why I
come
thought
from
you
a
were
little bit of a
younger.
smaller town down south. Grew up there and just was never really happy there. It's a very religious town.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't, I don't know, vibing well with it for most of my life. So
Mm-hmm.
when I finally decided to go and take the leap and do university, I thought if I'm, making such a big move, because it is about an hour and a half, it's a huge city that I've moved into, Winnipeg here, obviously, it's the capital of Manitoba. I
Yeah.
thought, like, why don't I go full Monty, try to pursue film, see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Scary, actually, like getting into something like that, because a lot of people go to university just to go to university, right? But pursuing something creatively and something that completely just scares you is it's a lot.
Yeah. And I don't think people really extensively understand the whole idea of like filmmaking and how creatively exhausting it can be at times. You're really putting this is one of like the most hybrid art forms of all time. It's just not video. It's music. It's art. It's art in its whole self, in its purest form. It is art. So it's very much a creative outlet, and it takes a lot out of you, man. It's like writing and then shooting it and then editing it and then having to find a way to actually show this art to the people. It's a very, very, very creatively exhausting art form, but hell, do we love it?
It's become really important for me to surround myself with people who kind of understand what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and all the work that does go into it, because it's a pretty much a running joke up here that, like, you go into the arts, you're not going to succeed, you're not going to make money. People don't really understand, yeah, like what filmmaking is. And so when I do get together with a friend I haven't seen in a while and I kind of explain to them, they say, "Oh, how's your classes going?" And then I tell them, "Well, I'm working on my first film, my second film, whatever it may be." And I just kind of explain like just a
Mm-hmm.
fraction of the process to them. It's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to watch like the surprise and shock on people's faces. They have no idea like what I'm actually doing or what it encompasses, but it is a lot of work. It
Yeah.
really really is. And I don't know if I knew that going in that it was going to be so hard and so creatively challenging for me, but where I'm stagnant and I'm not satisfied and like I'm always looking to better myself and like learn new techniques obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the best directors are. They're the ones who learn and always advance their style. And I was gonna say, a lot of my friends, it's either one or two things. Like, either your friends are really impressed, or they're like, "Oh, okay, okay, cool, yeah, that's kind of it." It's either one or two. They're with some of mine. They're like, "Oh, dude, really? Can you put me on set so I can see what you're doing?" I'm like, "Oh, gladly, come if you want to see." And then they're just some like, "All right," I'm like, "Okay, all right, cool."
It's yeah, what we've been learning this year is a lot of our professor kind of trusts us to be like more of an auteur when we go about things. So for
Mm-hmm.
my first film and my second film, it's like I'm directing and I'm producing and I'm writing and I'm casting and like you're pretty much doing everything yourself, which does prepare you for the field. It kind of lets you know what you're more interested in, what you are skilled at. but it's a lot. Like for both of my films that I've done this semester,
Mm-hmm.
the entire like thing, shooting even, and then even post production, like I'm just a wreck. Like I am so mentally imbalanced, and I just can't. I'm just not completely there. Like it
Mm-hmm.
takes so much out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's always totally worth it. I'm very, very proud of my first film. Even for
Mm-hmm.
being like the first film I made, I thought it was really impressive. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm tooting my own horn, but yeah, it's always worth it in the end. It's just it's a lot of work to get there.
Yeah. This is nothing bad to toot your own horn. I mean, as an artist, you really have to be retrospective, and you have to look at your work as a whole, and you have the right to feel good about your work. It should not be taboo for you to say, "Hey, I really like the movie I made. I think it's really good." You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah. And I want to go into. I'm going to segue into there. We'll keep talking about film school, but I really want to talk about this, Raul. Uh, Look, the best way I can describe this film, it's about this guy who's been up for days, right? Like he hasn't slept.
The point is supposed to be that I think the human body can go, oh, what was it, 11 days without sleep, something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I initially wrote it, it's been about a week at this point.
Yeah. Funny thing, I don't know if you actually know this. Desvelado in Spanish is a term to explain somebody who hasn't slept. Or yeah.
Yeah, I actually I wrote the title first and then I wrote the film around it. But it's funny because, like I was telling you, there's not a lot of Latino culture up here
Mm-hmm.
in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And when I presented it to the class, everyone's like, "What is that word? Like, what does that mean?" And I was like, "Well, it obviously very clearly means something. Otherwise, I wouldn't just like make up a word,
Yeah. That's
a joke."
very
All you.
interesting that you came up with the title first before you make your film, because all the scripts I've written, I've come up with the title like halfway through finishing the script.
It's funny, I actually did it for the film that I'm working on right now, my second film this year. I did the same thing too. I came up with the title and then I wrote around it.
Holy crap. Yeah, I've never actually. I mean, what's that process like?
Um, what was it for? Okay, so for my first film, for Desvelado, we were kind of thrown into the whole pre-production process, and my professor was kind of expecting us to slam things out. Okay, this day you're gonna have this ready. This day you're gonna have this, and it was my first time. I haven't been in any script writing classes or anything.
Yeah.
So for me, I was kind of panicking, and we had this whole process where we would write down 3 ideas for what we thought our film would be, present them to the class, and then the class would actually vote on what they liked. I think on my walk to school, I came up with like a couple ideas for stuff that I was
Mm-hmm.
somewhat interested in. My
Mm-hmm.
professor goes, "Okay, just throw that all together, make a movie with all of that." And I just had no idea what to do, but I knew I wanted it to be experimental, and I knew I wanted to make it kind of unsettling for people to watch. And I don't know, everyone was talking about stuff that involved like drugs and like just your like really typical stuff. And I thought, what if slept? Like, how would that affect you? Would it be similar to the effect of like taking drugs or hallucinating or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And so researching into like terms for like sleeplessness and insomnia and stuff, but I didn't want it to be obvious. So that's why I chose something from a different language. Because like I said up here, nobody knows any language other than like maybe a little bit of French and English. So
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. It's a really, really interesting film, Haley. I've told you this in private. I don't care if so. Like, what's it called? I've told you in private, so I'm not just saying these things on air so that way I can sound like a good guy. But no, I think it's a great film. I think it's beautifully shot. It's very unsettling. It's very unsettling. I think that your actor did a really, really good job, and it's highly experimental, like you said. It's highly experimental. I mean, it's. I can't even put my finger on what I could think the interpretation is. I think it's mostly around like the idea of consciousness, where the mind goes when, the body is being deprived of necessities to live.
Yeah. So my actor for it, their name is Molly. What I really liked, or well, I got Molly's contact information from someone else in my class,
Mm-hmm.
but Molly is actually trans, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's like something that I really wanted to. I was thinking about writing someone. I think when I initially wrote it in before I even cast it, the character was androgynous. Like it wasn't I didn't really want to write a gender in there or anything. So it was really
Mm-hmm.
important to me to like be a little bit more inclusive and have, I think,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
what is it? I think the thing right now in media is and
Representation.
are yeah, well what they're doing is they're hiring people who aren't trans or aren't queer and then putting them
Mm-hmm.
in films where they play those roles, and it just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
limits it for people who are that is their actual experience.
Yeah.
So for me that was like really cool. I was really impressed with Molly. They were great.
Yeah.
Actually working with them on a different film
Mm-hmm.
next week also. Yeah, they were great. I think they had like a tiny bit of acting experience, but like
Mm-hmm.
nothing too crazy, and they just came in and just like absolutely killed it on the day we shot. So yeah, I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, on that idea about the media and film, and I was gonna say it sucks that they won't cast them, and if you're not gonna cast them, at least have them as consultants while you're writing your script or you're directing. Like
You,
the
I
least you could do.
and I watch movies with like queer characters, and I'm like, something seems off here. It seems like everything is always very like stereotyped.
Hmm. And it's done really from like the straight fetishization of queer sex and stuff like that, and queer love and queer relationships. I mean, one of my favorite films of 2018, I think, 2017, 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 was Disobedience, and it was a complete deconstruction of what the male gaze of lesbianism is, and
Huh.
it wasn't this very hypersexualized film. Like there's one sex scene, and there's a lot of build to that sex scene, and even then is not a blue is the warmest color sex scene. It's a very well directed, different outlook at what's it called, what lesbian sex is. I think that's when you really start to hit the true, I don't want to say flavor. I want to say representation of how this is perceived is when you have consultants like that, or you have directors that kind of think outside of the whole, status quo of it all.
Yeah, like it's not the conventional way to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the way that it should be done, even if it does take extra effort.
Exactly. Exactly. So, like, if you're not going to cast these people, might as well have them as consultants. I mean, that's the least you can do. Have them look over your script and say, like, hey, maybe you want to write that differently because that's definitely not how it is.
It's interesting to being I don't know. I feel so uncomfortable calling myself a person of color, but I am Métis. I do have Métis background from my birth father's side.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never really thought about representation in media. I don't think anybody ever really does, right? But now we're in kind of like a time in political climate where it's become a little bit more
Yeah.
to light. People are kind of starting to understand. And so I've started to notice too how many films just it's all white casting, like
Mm-hmm.
all the time. Even when it's well, I know Ghost in the Shell was one that like really upset everybody too. Like, how hard would it be to hire an Asian actress?
Yeah.
There's tons of them. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's something that I don't know back like my banner and the type of movies that I want to make, but I definitely do think representation is also something that I kind of want to
Yeah.
play with as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah. You're talking about how it's not something that you really have to think about. Sadly, on this side, on my end, it's something that I was thinking about since I was a kid, and I think I've said this before on episodes. My representation was always on since I live on the border. My representation was always on the Mexican channels that I had,
Yeah.
and then if I wanted something from the American side to represent me, it was in the pro wrestling that I was seeing on TV with wrestlers like Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. That was my representation in my TV because the TV shows weren't showing me people that looked like me or talk like me. And then even then now as a young adult, as an adult, I guess I still don't see myself on screen, and it sucks. And it sucks because people like me, we're still waiting for it. The source material is there for you to make us, represent us on screen, but it's taking time.
Yeah, I think that's film serves a lot of purposes, but definitely it needs to start being a little bit more innovative. I think there's like so many different things that can be done and should be done.
Yeah.
It's like same as gender representation and equality in 2019 too. Like there's so much that we still need to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that just kind of goes into what I was going to ask about. Style and substance about your films. So what stuff you want to push in your films? So your guest, you're saying, gender equality, queer representation, and yeah, that's kind of it. The what you were talking about, right? That you wanted to, push in your movies.
Yeah, I'm still trying to find myself as a filmmaker. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
I've really only done this a couple times, but it is something that I would like to see more on screen for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with that, but at the start of the year, I think our first assignment in this filmmaking class was to present your banner. Like, what is your banner? Like, where do you come from? Like, what do you want to see on screen?
Mm-hmm.
I think most of us feel pretty lost in terms of that since we are so young and we kind of have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I just like stuff in tone, of course, like branching off of Desperado again. But my favorite director is Tim Burton, and so you can make fun of me all you want, you or anybody else who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
I know at heart I always truly will be, but I really identify with movies that have such an identifiable like aesthetic, if I
Mm-hmm.
can say. Like you can take a shot from any one of Tim Burton's films, and you'll immediately know like, oh, that's Tim Burton. Same thing with
Yeah.
like Quentin Tarantino and
Mm-hmm.
directors like that. So
Yeah.
um, visually, that's like something that I kind of
Yeah.
thriller. Yeah, I don't know. That's like a really awful answer for that, but that's kind
No,
of
it's
where I'm at.
fine. And I see it in Desvelado. I mean, just a whole, aesthetical approach to it, and just how, I mean, those reds in that shot are just amazing. I'm like, ugh, chef's kiss. It's great.
Actually did was so what we did is we filmed it in I don't know if you care to even hear about this, but we filmed it in my bedroom, the bedroom I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually sitting in right now. So I live in like a pretty I don't know, I would say it's like a 70s apartment. It's pretty plain, whatever. I have the smaller room with the two of us, and what we ended up doing was I took everything out of my room. Like my room is pretty heavily decorated. I've got furniture, I've got stuff hung up on the walls, whatever. We just took everything out, like shoved it in my living room,
Yeah.
and it also just happened that my closet door was broken that day, and I've been waiting for them to come fix it for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And everyone always asks me after they see the film, they say like, "What's up with that broken closet door?" Like my professor thought I broke it like on purpose for the film, so I ended up just kind of adding. But yeah, we basically filmed in like a blank my bedding. So yeah. What was the question again? I totally just branched off into.
No, no, I was just giving a compliment about the film. It was just about the reds and the red tones in there, and the visual aesthetic of it. And I was gonna say I'm never gonna make fun of you or your film taste. If I'm notoriously known for speaking ill on what Tim Burton has made. It's just not my style. It's just not my thing. He has some really good stuff like Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, Night Before Christmas. That's pretty much it for me. Sweeney
Okay.
Todd and all that stuff. It's just not my type of thing. And
I don't know. I grew up on it though, so I guess
yeah,
that's just where it came from.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, what I was trying sorry, I completely branched off. What I was trying to say is we had a studio light up in here. What we did is we put colored gels over it. So we did shoot it and it was like blue and red. And then my editor just kind of color corrected it a little bit more. But yes, we did actually have lights in here that like did that. Anyway, that's what I was trying to say.
Well, it came
Um,
out to be a really, really awesome final product then because it looks really, really nice with the red tint on it.
I was not like what we had to do is we all had to sign up for different positions. So we had to like do sound on somebody's film, like shoot somebody else's film, edit theirs, whatever. And so the guy that offered to edit mine, I honestly had just about no faith in him. I was like, whatever. Like I'll just let him do it because then I don't have to do it myself. And then I think after I gave him the footage, it was like 3 4 days. He handed it back to me. I asked
Mm-hmm.
him to make like three like very small changes that probably took him like 5 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just blown away. I like the people that you think might surprise you, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I have to give him a ton of credit too. Like he is just about half the reason I think why my film was successful in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean it's a great film, and you guys should really go check it out when Haley has it on her socials. I really really do enjoy it, and I'm not saying that just because you're my friend. I really do enjoy the film, and I was gonna ask you, the visual that you're really really um, visually sound, if I can say, like very. That's what you look for in your films. What other directors do you kind of like with that have a visual aesthetic to them?
Again, a super super hard question.
Yeah.
you're gonna make fun of me, but
No, I'm not gonna make fun of you. No, don't think that.
I think I only got into like Tarantino films like a year ago or something like that.
Hmm.
And I don't think anyone can ever really like place their finger on like what it is that makes this film so distinctive. But I like kind of like the kitsch and like the indie vibes and stuff
Hmm.
like that. So
Yeah.
always super recognizable too. I think he pays like a ton of attention to, like props and costumes and stuff like that. And that's something that I aspire to. For my second film, I put a ton of effort into
Hmm.
and set design because I wanted it. Because the thing is, like, if you pay attention to that type of stuff, I feel like everything else will follow. Like,
Yeah.
if you've got your shot, like, all dressed up and everything, it's, like, very easy to be successful with the rest of it.
Hmm.
I don't know if I really have, like, an answer off the top of my head for that one.
Yeah. I mean, Tarantino's a really, really good answer. We're gonna do a month of Tarantino in July. We're gonna do a
Oh,
whole
sick.
July month to cater to Tarantino to do 4 films. If you want to join us for that, we welcome you with open arms. It wouldn't be the first time we do a guest for the month. So
Will's on my list of favorites for now, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite from him is Inglourious Bastards, but I also love Jackie Brown. I love Django. Django was the one that made me realize I wanted to make movies. Uh, of course, Pulp Fiction, The Kill Bills. I love those two. Yeah, I mean, he's made some really, really distinctive movies. I was gonna, some of my favorite directors with that visual aesthetic, off the top of my head, Gaspar Noé. I've been riding his train really long right now. You guys look back at my tweets. I've been tweeting about Gaspar Noé pretty much for like the past like couple of weeks, and I'm really, really into his films. I'm trying to find a theater I can go watch Climax, but I just can't go. I can't find it. It's just not showing here anymore. So I'm gonna wait for it to hit digital, but. Gaspar Noé has made films like Love. It's a nice erotic drama, and he's made Irreversible. I Stand Alone. Enter the Void, which is a film about drugs, and it's crazy trippy, and it's one crazy movie. And yeah, other directors like Lars von Trier. I think I've talked to you before about how good Nymphomaniac is. Those 2 volumes are really, really good movies. I'm really, really into the weird stuff and really the stuff that deconstruct the psyche.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I can't even pick up a ton of stuff off the top of my head on that, but I will never stop preaching the good word of stuff like Black Mirror. It's just like
Mm-hmm.
stuff that just twists the way that you think, especially too because I feel like that show speaks so much on. It's like I feel like it's very much social commentary
Mm-hmm.
on like modern issues, modern day technology, and I just thought it's so. I'm kind of a paranoid person. I believe a lot in conspiracy theories and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Single episode plays on almost like a fear that I have about like the way things are going.
Yeah.
And as outlandish as the concepts are and the stories are, I feel like we are so close to like a lot of that stuff kind of going down and happening.
Yeah. And I mean, it
Like
really. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say like the episode with I think it's is it Jessica Chastain who's in it?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh, Bryce Dallas Howard. I get the two of them mixed up because of the Twilight movies. That's why.
Don't worry, they
Um,
look the same.
in the episode with her, I'm like, that's so close to how it is, like feeding into like social media and like the power of likes and stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
just thought I just think the messages of those episodes are really powerful. But yeah, no, I feel the same. I like stuff that's trippy, drug-induced hallucinations, like all that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
You should really watch Enter the Void then. I think
I
you.
actually have it on a list. Somebody else told me to watch that one too, so it's on my
Yeah.
list of films to watch.
Yeah, I think you would really like Enter the Void. And Gaspar Noé shoots his films on drugs most of the time too. So like he's it's crazy. Yeah, you should watch some interviews with him. I was gonna say
Well,
that shows like I'm sorry, what were you gonna ask? What were you gonna say?
I was just saying, like, immerse yourself in it. If you're gonna write a film about being on drugs and hallucinating, like, do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this line of code before I shoot this scene, man. um, I was gonna say that shows like Black Mirror, they really do stand out, especially in the state of cinema at the moment. State of like media. It's very. I've always repeat what Alfonso Cuarón said about his film. The product is very gentrified, so it's hard to put some of these films that we're really putting in a lot of work to, and all films have a lot of work put into them, but like some that have like put in a lot of thought into, stuff that expands your mind, not just this popcorn flicks that you kind of waste time with and just kind of, it doesn't really do nothing for the mind, unlike works like, stuff that's just very, very expansive, and and it goes back to the pillars of how cinema was created, as this visual and as storytelling art form.
I think this very much goes off of, I think it was the interview episode of On the Nerd Corp that I was listening to, where you were saying how you don't like to watch a lot of entertaining movies, and I like really felt that. Actually, I've never heard someone say it in a way that like connected in my head and made sense so much, but I feel the same way too. I don't watch a lot of the movies that my friends get so excited about that come to the theaters and stuff. So I'm like, I mean, it's okay sometimes, right? If you're in a group and you're just at a party and you want to just watch something entertaining. But yeah, I very much feel like I've been kind of looking for stuff that like says something, whether it's like a message of significance or like visually is just very striking. But yeah, I'm not super into like entertaining action blockbuster type stuff.
And I know people are gonna say, "Oh, you fucking hypocrite, Raul! You review superhero movies for like most of the time on this feed." Yeah, assholes. I like my superhero movies. I watch them, but I just have fun with them. That's it. Like, I pretty much just do that. Those are my fuck around movies. Just go and just watch them. But I always go and I pay my money to watch my films like Us, or my films like fucking Climax that I want to watch, or High Life that I want to go watch. I love paying to go watch A24's movies because I know those are the ones that are going to expand my mind and I'm going to get something out of.
And you can enjoy both sides, like you don't have to, just because you're a film student or a film critic or whatever it might be, doesn't mean you can't enjoy movies like that. But it's interesting. I find that I've always been made fun of for liking Tim Burton. I remember I had a birthday party and like when I turned like 13 or 14 or whatever, and my mom was like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, I want to invite my friends over and I want to watch Nightmare Before Christmas," because that's also one of my favorite movies. Like emotion, loved Tim Burton, love musicals, so it just kind of all coalesces into something that I love. I remember my friends all came over and they were just kind of like fucking looking at me, and I was like, man, these normies, like they have no idea like what we're even watching right now, and they were all like, can we just like go home, like this sucks.
It's like, you're watching cinematic beauty, watch it.
Appreciate it. Well, and above anything too, like if you can't fucking watch a stop motion animated movie and not appreciate it in some semblance, like I don't even want to hang out with you, Yeah. If you can't hang, there's the door.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about
that. Yeah. And it's like, it's not to come out pretentious either, but it's just like I don't want to watch a film that just spits on my intelligence, Like I don't want to watch something is like spoon feeding me the plot. I want to think about things. I want my mind to be expanded. I want to think about what this has to say about the world we live in and the human condition, because that's what art is. It is a commentary on the human condition. It's just it's funny because people are like, Raul, you don't enjoy anything. I'm like, I'm sorry that I didn't like this movie that's supposed to make me laugh, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry that I don't like comedy all that much. I watch TV the way you guys watch films, okay? Sorry. But when it comes to film, I watch this to actually, consume art. I don't watch it because I'm like, I just want to be entertained.
Well, I want to watch something where, like, after I watch it, like, I'm sitting and I'm thinking about it for, like, a while. Just anything. Like I remember the first time I watched Requiem for a Dream, I like turned it off and I think I just sat there for like 20 minutes and I was like, holy shit. Like, like it really just hit me. That's what I'm into. That's the same thing with Black Mirror too. But here's a pro tip for anybody who likes Black Mirror and is like planning on rewatching it. Watching it stoned. I cannot preach this good word enough. I consume Black Mirror like when I'm pretty high, because I feel like it opens up a different section of your mind when you do smoke. Sorry, I'm just like drugs on your show. I know it's not legal down there. If it's legal where you are, maybe try it.
Yeah.
But it opens up a part of your mind, and then I don't know, it just allows you to consume it differently, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember too, same thing after I watched the first episode of Black Mirror. I actually really disliked the first episode just because obviously it is so horrifying. But yeah, like I shut my laptop when it ended, and I was just like, because it was, I don't know, it spoke to me, but yeah.
No, I was just what's it called? It's fine, you know. The good thing about this show is that I bring in different people from different parts of the world. You know, we talk about these things, and you know, it's fine that you bring this stuff up. It's nothing wrong with it, you know. But hey, if you're a listener who is under the age of 18, don't do drugs, kids. Please don't do drugs. So
No, legal, do it safely, be safe about it. I
yeah,
totally just forgot as I was going on that rant. I'm like, oh, shit, weed's actually not even legal in all of the states.
not in my state.
Up
Uh,
here, best life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you know, it's just it's funny that you know, and it's like Raul, you just don't like anything. I'm like, oh well, yeah, I don't like anything. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't like. I'm monotone. I'm joyless, and I don't want to have fun. Sorry, guys.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I want to talk about. I think if we're on a good flow right now, I think we can move on from film to podcasting. What about that? Do
Yeah.
you feel comfortable with that?
Yep.
All right, cool. Then we're gonna ditch the film talk. We're gonna go straight into podcasting. So yeah, you run a podcast called No Never Mind. It's really really interesting. I love listening to it. You know, you always tell me like I'm sorry that we pretty much ramble on about nothing. I'm like, Haley, don't worry about it. Like I love that. That's you know it's fine. Like I have my podcast where I listen to them talk about movies and break down the most like the biggest nitpicks of them all. And then I have your show where I can just listen and laugh.
That's good. I like to hear that. I even listen to my own show, like to be completely honest, and I also
Yeah.
am laughing the entire time, even though I'm literally half of the show. It's like I don't know if that's narcissistic, but I'm just really glad that people enjoy it and people have fun with it. I need to stop.
Mm.
I think I need to stop apologizing for the nature of the show because we wanted it to be very like stream of consciousness off the top of the head. We don't
Yeah.
prepare anything in advance for our podcast. We'll maybe come up with a topic down. We don't do any research. We pretty much just like sit down, record like 4 episodes back to back, and
Mm.
just kind of like have fun with it. It's very much as if you're hanging out with us, Suzanne and I. Kind of what we wanted it to be like. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and those are some of the most fun. I mean, yeah, if that's grammatically correct. Sorry, English was not my first language, but I mean those are the really fun ones, honestly. And you know, you know, it's coming from the guy who has like 6 Google Docs for every show that he runs, and I have to write every episode. But it's safe to say that I'm running a different boat than you are. Um,
no, definitely.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, I literally did blush when you told me that my hosting abilities are great and that you yeah. So thank you so much for that. And I hope I'm doing a pretty good job right now.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so impressive to me. Of course, I always will support my friends in like any type of art that they do, but it's really interesting to listen to your show and it's so like the polar opposite of what we're doing, but you are
Mhm.
so good at it and it's a whole different type of successful. Yeah, I'm really impressed by it. I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm happy you're here too, Haley. And that's
It's
what
exciting,
this
fun.
yeah, this what this show's all these shows are all about, just being happy and talking with each other as we find out the deepest corners of our minds here. But you know, podcasting is so much fun. I've said that 1,000 times. We just got to episode 200 over here at the Nerdcore, and yeah, I was saying how you know your product reflects the way you feel about your product. So you know you're having fun and you're loving what you're doing. So obviously it's gonna sound that way when you do your shows. People think like when people think in any other area like YouTube or podcasting or streaming, you know, you're putting on a different face. Guys, I'm completely telling you guys the voice you hear from me is the exact voice you're gonna hear when I'm off air. I just really love what I do here, and I love what I'm doing, and that reflects on my product, and I think that reflects so much on yours too, especially your dynamic with your co-host. Not a lot of dynamics work, but when I listen to those couple episodes, like man, these sound like people I could hang out with. You know, even though I don't, you know, I don't do drugs, I don't drink or anything. Those are personal choices of mine. But I was like, I could just like sit down with these two. They could have like a beer or whatever. I'll have a Coke Zero, and we could just be talking about movies or something.
I mean, like that's totally cool too, because Suzanne also doesn't do anything, and she's straight edge as well, from what I
Yeah.
understand. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm
yeah, but
not straight edge. Just what's it called? It's personal choices of mine, linked to history. But as I said before, no, episode 25 will be my actual interview. So I'm gonna turn the tables and let somebody else come in here and interview me. So you'll learn more about that on that episode. But yeah, go ahead and go with what you were saying.
I don't know if I really had a point to anything, but um, yeah, the whole idea for the podcast really was just very spur of the moment. Suzanne and I really we only pretty much met this year, so we haven't known each other super, super long, but we just connected like right off
Yeah.
the bat. And like I think we have the best like rapport in the sense that like she'll say something and I'll burst out laughing and I can kind of play off of it. And I think we just work really well together.
Mm-hmm.
And so our film class, which is pretty small, it's pretty tight knit. It's like maybe 15 people. They were always saying like, "Oh my God, like you guys should start a YouTube channel." And our joke was like, "Oh no, like we're too ugly to be on camera." And so then I think one day randomly someone said like, "Why don't you guys make a podcast?" And we were like, "Yeah, of course, yeah, sure." And we were like kind of playing off it. We were like, "Let's show them." And so I think like that day, like we sat down, came up with the name. We should have been doing our work in class, but we weren't. And then created like our email and like got everything started. And I think we started recording like the next day.
Yeah. Hey, that's how it happens. Well, I'll tell you the story, but I was gonna say that thing about you to being too ugly to be on camera. Completely wrong. That is a wrong statement. As wrong as it's gonna get on this podcast. Just wrong.
I'm pretty self-deprecating in general. Like I just make a lot of jokes like that. I hope they don't make people uncomfortable because like I'm pretty okay with the way I look, but yeah, that was like our running joke. We're like, "Oh my God, too ugly to be on camera."
Yeah. I would be really interested to have Suzanne on an episode, especially to get her outlook on film coming from, the eyes of a woman of color. So that would be really, really interesting to do. And
She, yeah, like seeing how easy this is technically to set up, like, yeah, it would totally be cool.
yeah, I would have loved to have both of you on the same episode, but with the interview shows, I want to have like separate episodes. So for sure, you guys are gonna be on an episode of Nerdcore together. We
So
just
we would
gotta
each other
find
for an interview. So
yeah, we just gotta find the right time. What was I even gonna ask you? I was gonna talk about. Oh yeah, that's usually how it works. It's out of the moment. So newer listeners who may not know this, Brad's not the co-creator of this podcast. He's not. The co-creator is Luis Garcia, who is the co-host of the Nerdy Chicano show. It's just a show similar to No Never Mind, where we just talk about whatever the fuck wants to come to our heads. And, I told him, "Hey, Luis, I want to make a podcast to talk about nerdy shit in movies." And he was like, "Cool, bro. You want to record at my house?" And that's it. I knew Luis since I was in like 6th grade. So it helped a lot that we were, there. But still, I was really nervous when I pressed record. And you can hear it in that first episode. Please don't go back to listen to that first episode. It's terrible. But yeah, I mean, that's usually how it happens. You're like, "Hey, you want to do it? Sure, we can do it." And then you're there. And then 400 episodes later, you realize, hey, I record a lot of episodes.
It's super important, I think, to have like a creative outlet. And I think that's what I really like about podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a lot easier than doing something like a YouTube channel. Like,
Yeah.
as cool as that sounds, like I would have to dedicate so much time to it. And then on top of that, it would be Jenna Marbles, where like my videos would just be like whatever the fuck I wanted to film that day. But anyway, it's just a commitment I'm not really ready to make. So yeah, I enjoy podcasting a lot. Like we literally just sit down with the laptop and just talk for 30 minutes about whatever we feel like talking about. And it is like therapy, like you said.
It pretty much is therapy. I tried YouTube and I did it for a couple of months, fell out of it. I tried streaming. I did it for a little bit, like 2 times, and then that was it. Fell out of it. I really found my footwork in podcasting. It also really helps that I have a great team of people to do all these other shows with. So, and it helps a lot that I have Brad. And that's about the only compliment I'll give Brad on this episode.
Wow.
It's always
you guys
fuck
just
Brad.
each other.
What's up? Yeah, we work well off each other, but we like to fuck around with each other a lot. So,
I enjoy it. You guys, your interactions always pop up pretty high on my Twitter feed, so I enjoy going through them and seeing, oh, who's insulting who today.
Yeah. Who's insulting who today? And that's because you're not in the other chats that we have, like, to see how we actually talk with each other. And, we're just like, fuck off, bro. Fuck off. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Same time to record, right? Yeah.
I talk with my best friend, whose name is also Hayley, but yeah, we tell each other some pretty awful stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's usually like, I don't want to be like too triggering, but like we'll tell each other to go. She'll be
Oh,
like, "Go jump off the bridge," and I'm like, "You first." Like it's like that kind of talking.
yeah. Oh no, it's
Yeah,
not like that. But I do tell him to go get lost in his desert, whatever that he lives in. He pretty much lives in the middle of nowhere. But it's always good to know like co-host and host dynamics. It's always fun, and I would say that I've had all the other shows that I've been on. I've had a great dynamic with my co-host, and you obviously have a great dynamic with yours, and that's really what sells your product, guys. So if you're thinking about making a podcast and you don't want to do it alone, make sure you have someone that can work well off you, because it's gonna help your show be as entertaining as it will be. And I think that today has been a very interesting and enjoyable show because I have a great guest here to jump off of. And I have two more things left here. Um, I like to pick the brain a little bit. Do we have any teases for season 2 of No Never Mind?
Ooh, so as everyone who does follow us knows, we're taking a little bit of a break, just with our exam schedules and
Yeah.
and everything. We, in true No Nevermind fashion, we've planned almost nothing
Yeah.
out.
So,
I
so
try, yeah, we've planned that we're going to change the color of our thumbnails. That's basically as far as we've gone. Um,
well,
but I think we're going to try doing with more structure, because I think our first introductory episode was something like 45 minutes. Like it's just too long for like the type of show that we have.
mm-hmm.
Um, but we're, I think, still going to continue recording it the way we have,
Yeah.
4 or 5 episodes, kind of spread them out. But we would like to get more episodes out as well, so we might start switching to 2 a week. But that's about all I
Ooh.
can say on that. We have not a lot planned, but we're going to try to play with having
Yeah.
like sort of thing. We do want to have a couple more guests on the show. It's probably just going to
Mm-hmm.
be kids from our film class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Basically, as much as I know.
Well, hot off the press is breaking news: 2 episodes a week for No Nevermind podcast. So I hope you guys do get more good guests, because those are my favorite episodes that you guys do, are when you have guests and they're so much fun. I can't remember the name of the girl that was on your last one, but she was so funny.
Is really great. Yeah, the three of us. She's the girl who I'm working on her film this week, and
Yeah.
yeah, she is just really, really funny. Like she just has a lot to kind of play off of with us.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to continue having people from our film class that we do get along well with. We did talk about having so with Kim and Alex, who was the guy who edited my first film. But we're just trying to work out the logistics of sound because we do use such a small mic, and then
Mm-hmm.
messy because there'd be 4 of us talking. So we're trying to figure it out. But yeah, it's good to hear feedback that you like the guests because we can definitely do more of that.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can do the crossover of the century. No, never mind. X the Nerdcore soon. That'd be really fun. And
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it.
yeah, it would be a pretty cool crossover episode. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into the last one, because we are gonna be hitting into the 1 hour mark, which means that it's almost time to get the fuck out of here. But I always do this. What does the future hold for Hayley Toews? Can I get a little taste of what your future projects will be? Anything that you're kind of writing up right now?
Well, currently I'm working on finishing up my second film.
Yeah.
So we had 2 due for this year.
Mm-hmm.
So Desolato's done. That's all good. I think I'm going to be submitting it to the University of Winnipeg Film Fest.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of, not pressure, but my professor and a lot of my friends have been telling me to submit it. So I'm going to try and do that. We'll see if that debuts, when I need to submit it. But the festival is in October. Currently finishing up my second film. It's called Pretty Little Bird. I've got all my footage. Everything's pretty much done. I just need to cut it together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I will probably have done by the end of April, I would assume.
All right. Well, that's awesome. And I'm sorry if I said taste. It sounded weird now after coming out of my mouth. I should have said tease. But I'm really, really excited for what you're going to do, because you're a really, really talented filmmaker. And I want you to just keep believing in your work, keep trusting yourself, and I think you're going to make great things. And, if you ever need help with anything, and you ever need me to revise anything that you need to send over to myself, then ask me for my email, and I'll gladly do it for you. And
Absolutely.
if you have any questions about podcasting and stuff like that, let me know, and I will do my best to help you out as well. So I hope you guys go and check out Hayley Toews, and I hope you guys do all the things and show her so much love because she's an awesome, awesome person. Hayley Toews, where can they find you on the internet?
So I'll plug myself the same way I plug myself on my podcast. You can follow me on Instagram. It's at Jaded Hayes, spelled JADEDH. The same thing on Twitter. You can follow the podcast as well. We're No Nevermind Podcast, available everywhere you can stream. We also have an Instagram account at No Nevermind Podcast and a Twitter, which is at No Nevermind PC.
All right. That's awesome. So you can go find that stuff, show them some love, tell them that the Nerd Family sent you, and just listen to their podcast. It's great, guys. And as always, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and now officially my PSN ID is now the Nerdy Chicano. So you can find me on anything you want to talk to me about on the Nerdy Chicano, and you can play with me on PS4 if you want. Look, disclaimer, if I don't know you, I'm not going to play with you, okay? So that's just going to put that out there. You can follow the Nerdcore on Twitter at the Nerdcore _, Instagram at the Nerdcore, Facebook page, the Nerdcore Pods, and oh my God, we launched the Nerdverse, the official Nerdcore podcast group on Facebook. Go and search up the group, or you can go to www.facebook.com/groups/the Nerdcore. Excuse me, CORPS. I do not want to burp on the mic. But go and do that and go join. And we talk so much stuff in there. We're talking about, I think we have a thread going right now about the Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer. So we had a thread on there, and I'm just noticing that this goes up on May 1st, so this is a long time since then. But just go and join the group. Join it. If you have Facebook, join it. So that being said, I am going to finally leave, and I want to thank our guests for being on here next month. And this will be the last month before I revise the episodes and think about going bi-weekly, my friends. But we will have Twitch streamer Shane Kelly, a.k.a. XSRRK from Twitch, to talk about streaming, his life, thrifting, and just being one badass dude. But in the meantime, I want you all to thank my guests for being on here, the wonderful Hayley Toews, filmmaker extraordinaire, and just a wonderful friend to have. Hayley,
So
say goodbye to the people.
Hi guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for listening to my boring voice. I appreciate you so much.
You're not boring. And I don't know what you were talking about, your voice sounding like nasally because of your allergies. You can't hear it.
Okay, that's good to know because right before this, my nose was so full of snot, I didn't know what was going to happen.
Nah, you don't worry. You're fine. Well, hope you all having a wonderful time, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. The file is closed, but not shut. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you on the other side.